but not like now. Something has changed and I don't know how. I'm at the point of no return. I'm at the point of no return. I'm at the point of no return. I'm at the point of no return.
Hello and welcome to episode 40 of the Retro Movie Love Podcast. My name is Michael Ferrari of Cinema de Meep. So today we're going to get into April 1987 films. We're continuing this series of looking back at 1987, 30 years later to the month. And it's been a fun series and I've been having a good time with it. So we'll get to that shortly. Just me today. April doesn't have as many cult items as, say, March did. And so I just kind of wanted to do a quick one with you guys. So if you're in the mood for a quick one, sit back and relax and enjoy. And before we get into that, I will love to talk about things I've been watching lately, and that's what's been going on in the past month since we've last spoke, or I've last had a podcast at least. And now it's been an interesting month. Things are changing for me, careers kind of going more into full bloom, so I haven't had a lot of time to devote to the podcast, and I would like to do more episodes, and I hopefully will get them up and running soon. I have one planned soon. That's not a 1987 podcast, but hopefully they'll pop up quicker than they have been. But it's been a busy month, so I just haven't been able to, even though I've been able to watch things, but I just haven't been able to just devote more time to the podcasting. Here's what I've been watching lately. Now, I want to start off by saying that on April Fool's Day, I got the opportunity to see April Fool's Day, the movie, on 35mm at the Cinefamily in LA, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast. I was with my pal Quentin, who's also a big April Fool's Day fan, and they had Q&A by the director of the movie, Fred Walton, who also did some pretty great movies like When a Stranger Calls and When a Stranger Calls Back. Pretty underrated horror director. I really like him. And he was there with a cinematographer and a couple of the actors. Clayton Rohner, big fan of Clayton Rohner, of course. Just one of the guys, and Modern Girls, and Deborah Goodrich, who was also in Just One of the Guys, and Ken Oland. So three of the cast members of April Fool's Day showed up, which was great, and they just reminisced. There was a Q&A before the screening, and just talked about some stories making the movie, and it was a lot of fun watching them. I think someone at the Cinefamily screening of that recorded it. I was watching him record it, and so it's up on YouTube. So if you want to check out the Q&A for April Fool's Day, Cinefamily, it was, I guess technically April Fool's Day. That's when it was midnight the night before, but it became April Fool's Day while watching it. Or actually, it started a little late, so we technically saw it on April Fool's Day. And it was just a perfect screening in its way. Cinefamily is like a great theater that does this sort of thing. They have good programming. Not the most comfortable seating, I would say, especially for a big guy like myself. But worth it. Worth it when it's a special screening. The last screening I saw here was with Ben Schur, and we saw Poltergeist 3 together. So I like this trend of seeing movies in a theater, 35mm, that I would talk about in the podcast. So hopefully I could get to more screenings like that. It's a lot of fun. And my friend Quentin, who may join me on a podcast soon, he knows Clayton Rohner, and they're friends, and he saw an opportunity to introduce me to him at some point before Clayton Rohner left the screening. And so I got to meet one of my movie heroes, Clayton Rohner, and that was a lot of fun. And thank you, Quentin, for introducing me to him. And now he knows how big of a fan I am of just one of the guys. So that's pretty cool. I don't usually go out of my way to meet people like that, because I don't know, mixture of me being kind of shy and it's kind of like want to give people their space. I'm just a New Yorker in that sense. But it was really nice meeting him, and it was just a perfect night because I got to see that movie on that night, and 31 years after it came out, which just felt good. And after, let's see, what have I been watching lately? The Paul Mazursky film Alex in Wonderland, which I hadn't seen in a really long time. And, as you know, I'm a big fan of Paul Mazursky on this podcast, and also Ben Schur, of course. That's his favorite director. And so I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I really, really liked it. It's a great second film. Usually a lot of filmmakers have that sophomore slump. But if you check this movie out. There's no slump here. He was kind of he was going for his own version of 8.5, and I like what he did with it. It says a lot about himself as a filmmaker and what was on his mind at the time. It reflected the culture, especially of LA of that time, and I really dug it. I think there's some really great stuff in it, and Donald Sutherland in the lead, so you can't go wrong with that. Ellen Burstyn's good too. So check that one out. It's on Warner Archives on DVD only. It's a commentary by Mazursky, which I also listened to, and it was great listening to Mazursky, I think in his final commentary that he recorded. So he died just a couple years after the DVD came out, so that's sad. I also picked up, I've been selling a bunch of things on eBay, like things I have doubles of or things I upgraded to, like from DVD to Blu-ray. So I just managed to gather together some stacks of things and sell them so I could make some extra cash. I could buy more Blu-rays, of course. One of the things I bought was the Vampire's Kiss and High Spirits double feature, and from Scream Factory put it out. And it's a bare bones release, just the two movies, I think. But Vampire's Kiss has the commentary ported over from the DVD. Not much in the way of special features, but the movies themselves look good. I really enjoyed revisiting Vampire's Kiss, which I hadn't seen in a long time. I remember liking it, but not loving it. And this time I feel like I kind of loved it. And it's pretty insane and out there, and Nicolas Cage being crazy, and the director letting him pretty much do whatever he wanted. And you can certainly see it on the screen. There's a lot of wackiness going on in this movie. But I liked it a lot. It's a great companion piece to, say, a movie like Martin, the George Romero movie about a young man who believes he's a vampire. It's I guess you could say the vampire who we're not exactly sure if they're a vampire or not. Genre. Let's make up a genre and call it that, or something. Gotta come up with something better than that, though. Nicolas Cage is great in it, and I thought he was just so much fun to watch. And Jennifer Beal, so lots of eye candy, and she's good. So I liked the movie a lot, and the commentary was suitably perfect because it was the director and Nicolas Cage talking about the movie, and just like things like Nicolas Cage confessing that he was just kind of going off the deep end on that one. At some point, there was a scene where a bat bites him, which may be like one of the reasons why he's a vampire, or just maybe he's infected with something, or he has rabies. We're not sure. But there's like a rubber bat, basically, like a cheap rubber bat, and it's not very convincing. But apparently, Nicolas Cage during the filming, he wanted it to be very convincing, and he had his assistant go out to Central Park and find a bat to use in the scene. So, as you can imagine, that can only lead to lots of trouble. Not sure if Nicolas Cage was actually thinking that one out, but he confesses to like being young and foolish, and he has a lot of good sense of humor about himself on the commentary. So it was nice seeing Nicolas Cage kind of let loose a little bit and just like allow himself to sound ridiculous. He was great. So High Spirits was double featured with that, and my wife is actually a big High Spirits fan. I didn't know that until after I married her, so it's too late. No, I'm just kidding. I actually saw High Spirits in the theater when it came out in 88, because 88 too, I think, was also a year I saw a lot of things in the theater, but I was kind of transitioning to like seeing a lot of things in the theater, but also renting things on home video. So I like lived at the video store in 1988. So when we get to 1988, we'll talk about that all the time. But I did see High Spirits in the theater, and I remember thinking it was okay. Just not my like, I don't know. Just like it's like a ghost story, but it's a comedy. It's not sure if it's scary or funny, and I just remember thinking that I was like, whatever. But now I'm like, I see it with like older eyes. I kind of, the performances are good. Peter O'Toole in the lead. Steve Guttenberg there, Beverly D'Angelo. There's a lot of good cast in the movie, and there's some funny bits. It's actually Crying Game. Neil Jordan wrote and directed this movie, which was interesting. I don't think of him as a funny, filmmaker. But there's some good bits in it, and I definitely liked it this time. So I recommend it. So it's a good double feature. Definitely recommend it. Witch Trap came out on Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome, and this is the best that Witch Trap will ever look or should ever look on Blu-ray. And if you like Kevin Tenney's films like Witchboard and Night of the Demons, it's kind of a lesser of his films, but definitely fun. And I definitely had fun watching it. I still need to dig into the special features, but I had a good time watching the movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. I rented it on home video when it came out in like 86 or so, or 87. I am a big Witchboard fan, so I will always say Witchboard forever. But Witch Trap, which definitely was trying to cash in on that Witchboard money, is fun. For what it is. I definitely enjoyed it. I also got Nightwing on DVD. Now, Nightwing was released on DVD from like Sony, but one of those like on-demand things, I think. And I'm not sure if it was proper widescreen or whatever, but I just wanted to kind of get it a real DVD version of it. But the only way to get that is to get it on a quadruple feature DVD with like a Bat sequel, like all these kind of Bat movies I would never buy, and Bird movies I would never buy. Really cheesy, bad, like 2000s direct-to-video stuff. But Nightwing was from 1979, kind of a classy Columbia Pictures horror movie, and directed by Arthur Hiller of all people, and it's not very good, I wouldn't say, as for a studio-made horror picture of the time. It's not a very exciting movie, but it's definitely a well-made movie. Nick Mancuso is in the lead. There's some good people in it, and there's a great attack sequence that kind of wakes you up. Some good visuals too. I enjoyed seeing it on DVD. It's kind of a low-key movie, so seeing it at home, and I can't imagine seeing it in the theater and being excited by it, but I definitely enjoyed it. It was a cheap DVD, so I'm glad I got to my first time owning Nightwing on any format, so I'm glad I picked it up. Moving on, a couple of kids movies that I watched. Now, these are not kids movies in any traditional sense, I guess, but we have family movie night, and we watched a couple of movies. We watched Bring It On and Cannonball Run. And Bring It On went down really well with my son, who liked it a lot. He learned one of the cheers from the movie. I think I posted on Facebook. He likes singing it all the time. And Cannonball Run, he's been obsessed with cars since birth, so I thought it was a perfect movie to have him watch, and he thought it was pretty silly. It also happened to be the night when he was really sick. He just happened to be really sick, and he just kind of like passed out at some point. So, but he enjoyed what he saw of it, so I need to finish Cannonball Run with him. But he's definitely big on Bring It On, so that's gonna be in our repertoire there. Speaking of kids movies or teen movies, in this case, it's Teen Witch on Blu-ray. Now, I might have mentioned this before, but I'm not sure if that Teen Witch was on Blu-ray. You must buy Teen Witch on Blu-ray because it's kind of the best Blu-ray ever. I always liked Teen Witch, but I really love Teen Witch now. It's just a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying it for a while now. I feel like I started enjoying it more than my sister did when we were kids. We watched it a lot, the Blu-ray is great. This commentary, it's really engaging, and the people are just so into it. The people on the commentary, just sharing all these stories and just catching up, and there's a lot of great interviews and God, Robin Lively is really into Teen Witch. She really embraces it, and good for her. And I just went away after watching all these special features feeling like I felt a lot of love that was put in and care and was put into it. And I just think it's kind of, for me, the Blu-ray release of the year, even though it's been like these huge box sets and great Blu-rays. But I just had a lot of fun revisiting Teen Witch on Blu-ray and then watching all the special features. It's just a must-own in your collection, especially if you like silly teen movies. I think it's just perfect. Speaking of those box sets, there were a couple of big box sets that came out. The House collection came out, two versions. There was a US version which came out with House 1 and 2 from Arrow, but the UK version has House 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I opted to order the one from the UK. And it was pointed out to me that apparently Retro Movie Love, the podcast, was quoted in the booklet, which was written by my pal Simon Barber, who has the great podcast of his own, Soda Jerker. And it's a great music podcast. He gets a lot of great guests on there. And he's a House fan, and he wrote the book for House, the House collection. And it's a lot of love was put into this release, and a lot of care, and so many people participated in the extras, and they really dug up some great things in it. And it was really nice to be a part of it, even in such a small way that we're just quoted in the notes in this book. But it just felt nice to be associated with this release and a New World Pictures release, especially because I love New World so much, and my frequent co-host Ben Schur is a big fan of New World, so we did that New World podcast together, and apparently Simon listened to it. So thank you, Simon, so much for that. Love the shout out. The other box set, the Phantasm box set. I just started digging into this one today, and mega box set has all 5 Phantasm movies in it, and it has an extra bonus disc. It has a book. Lots of great things in here. I really need to dig in. I just started digging in today, so it's going to take me a while to get through this one. There's so much goodness in here, so I can't wait to do that. I've always been a huge fan of Phantasm 1. Kind of lukewarm on some of the sequels. Just wasn't always my collection, like my franchise. But this box set, I feel like will kind of set me straight, and I'll see the light and love the Phantasm more, because there's so much of it now, and 5 movies and all these extras. So I can't wait to explore every single one of them and get into everything that is Phantasm. I love it. So we'll do that soon, really soon. So a couple more things. There was a great book that was put out called Are You in the House Alone? A TV Movie Compendium, 1964 to 1999. This book was written by my pal Amanda Reyes of Made for TV Mayhem, the blog and the podcast. Now, Amanda Reyes has been a good friend of mine for, I don't know, going on forever now. We share a deep love for certain movies. She's obviously expert TV movies and TV horror especially. She's the queen of TV and TV terror especially. I just love everything she has to say about TV and film, and especially her voice within it and the female perspective, because she does have an interesting point of view, and we need more people with a strong point of view on things, and Amanda certainly has that, and I love that about her, and I'm always engaged when I read her stuff. So thank you so much, Amanda, for putting out a book and doing this, doing the Lord's work, the movie Lord's work, as I like to say, because I don't know how many people out there are still following TV movies, but there were some really, truly great ones put out in this time period that she's covering. And those of us who grew up in the 80s, grew up on reruns of these movies, especially like late night showings. I remember seeing late night shows of Bat Ronald and Secret Nightcaller and so many great ones, and I'm sure her book covers all the ones that I loved as a kid. So I can't wait to dig into that. So that book is available on Amazon. So Are You in the House Alone? A TV Movie Compendium, 1964 to 1999. Written by Amanda Reyes. So pick that one up. It's only like $16, I think, right now on Amazon, so it's a good deal, and you get a lot of movie love. So if I ever talk about TV movies in this podcast, I have to have her on, because we love TV movies, and we have a deep love for certain movies, so we will probably talk anyway on this podcast about something. I love Amanda. Finally, there was we had a loss today in the film world. It just happened earlier today. I like this director a lot. I mean, he has made quite a few movies over the years, and some movies that really connect with audiences. And he's won an Academy Award, and so he's going to be well remembered. But I wanted to talk about him anyway. Jonathan Demme passed away, sadly, at 73. It was kind of surprising because I didn't know he was sick. And I know he hadn't made a feature film. And he had made one in 2015 called Ricky and the Flash, and I liked it. It wasn't like something that I loved, but I did like it, and it definitely had his stamp on it. And so it was a couple years now, and he's been doing some like documentary stuff, because in addition to doing films, he was a great documentarian, and he made some really great documentaries and over his career, and he definitely had a lot to say with his films, and he was very politically minded, and I really respect him for a lot of his beliefs and what he was trying to do with his career. He took a lot of chances, and he was a filmmaker who could have easily made just like lazy movie after lazy movie, because he got to a certain point where he won an Academy Award with Silence of the Lambs, and what he followed up Silence of the Lambs with, he followed it up with a movie called Philadelphia, which was very moving and about something very important, and he but with great performances, and it wasn't something like, I'm just going to make a big, dumb Hollywood movie or a big superhero movie right now. I'm going to do something that interests me, and he did that a lot. And he would alternate movies with documentaries, excuse me, and music videos, and so he definitely had his hand in a few things, and he was truly great. He started off his career with working for Roger Corman, and he did a lot of. People forget that he directed Caged Heat and Crazy Mama, and he wrote like exploitation movies in his early career, like Angels Hard as They Come, the biker movie, and a movie called The Hot Box, which I remember watching quite a few times because my grandmother loved like women in prison type of movies, jungle movies, and that hit both those both of those boxes. I remember check both of them out. Black Mama, White Mama, he wrote that, or the story, and Caged Heat. Caged Heat is a lot of fun, I gotta say, and he did that one. He wrote and directed that one. So he started off his career early in exploitation, and like a lot of filmmakers working for Roger Corman, and then he also started making these movies in the 70s that kind of struck a chord with audiences, like Citizens Band, which is also known as Handle with Care, and he did Melvin and Howard, which was, I think it got someone an Oscar in that one. I think it might have been Jason Robards release nominations. Great movie, and I like that a lot. I remember seeing that when I was pretty young and kind of like really enjoying it, even though it was not a movie made for a kid. And then he started doing TV things and shorts, and he directed a feature, Swing Shift, which I haven't seen in a long time, but I need to revisit that, with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. That's the movie they kind of fell in love on, I think. And Stop Making Sense, The Talking Heads, is the ultimate music movie, in my opinion. It's the Talking Heads performing and doing their Stop Making Sense, and it's so good. It's so amazing. I'm a huge fan of this thing. It's just it's hard to express how I feel about it, because every time I just watch it, I just get completely into it and moved by it, and I just I feel like it's also like a workout while watching it, because there's so much moving and dancing, and just get caught up in the music, and just love the Talking Heads in that time period and up into that time period, and just so good. And he really captures them so well, and such an original voice with this one. Then he did other things. He did lots of music videos around this point, and then to the mid to late 80s, he started making these features with Orion, like Something Wild and Married to the Mob, which a lot of people might know him for, because they were kind of big studio comedies in a way. They felt like big studio comedies, although they were made with kind of an independent film mentality, which made them really interesting. They weren't just like one thing. They weren't just like silly and forgettable or frivolous. They were just kind of they were really interesting and funny, and had a point of view. And Something Wild took a lot of chances tonally, because it becomes, it's a romantic comedy, screwball comedy for a large part of it, and it becomes kind of like a thriller, and just some really great performances in there too. And Married to the Mob is really funny. It's a really funny movie. It really holds up well. Both of those movies do, in my opinion. I know Something Wild divides some people because of that tonal shift in it, but I think people who love screwball comedies love Something Wild. Really get what he was doing with that one. And Married to the Mob, I feel like has a good amount of fans. Yeah, then he was, then he got into eventually Sons of the Lambs, and he got his Academy Award, well deserved too, I've got to say, for that one. So Jonathan Demme, I feel like we lost you too early. I feel like there were more greatness there, but there's a lot of films we can watch of his, and a lot of music videos, and just lots of media. Thank you so much for those memories, and you're going to be remembered forever. So thank you, Jonathan. Okay, so we should get into 1987 proper, with April's releases. Before April is actually done here, it's like I'm recording on the 26th, so it's really getting to the wire here. So let's get right into it with the first movie. Here is the trailer.
Those dedicated graduates are back in Police Academy. Mahoney, Jones, Hightower, Sweet Chuck, Zed, and Tackleberry.
Now be careful, because a 44 Magnum has quite a...
See them in your neighborhood while you still have one. Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol.
Okay, that is Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. What do people think about Citizens on Patrol? I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure what people think about that one in the series. I always liked it. I mean, I'm not like a huge Police Academy fan. It's not like, you know, my go-to franchise, but I always found them enjoyable for what they are, at least the first 4. And I like the first one. I think the first one's pretty irreverent and funny, and it's like R-rated, so it's perfect for, you know, kids to discover, you know, foul language and like just people being silly. And then I guess the movies got softer as they went along. They were PG, and I think maybe the next 3 became PG movies. And you know, that was fine because, you know, they knew their audience. They knew like kids my age were watching Police Academy movies, Police Academy 1 when we were pretty young. So they were soft, but they were funny and they were silly and they were ridiculous. I think I enjoyed 3 more than 2, and then 4 came out, and I thought, wow, okay, that's funny. So I think I enjoyed 4 more than the other sequels, but maybe not as much as the first. Jim Drake directed Police Academy 4. I think it was his only theatrical feature. I think a lot of the TV. He directed like tons of Mary Hartman. So Mary Hartman fans know that Jim Drake directed both that and Police Academy 4. Steve Guttenberg's last Police Academy movie. Bubba Smith, I'm not sure if this was his last too. There were some cast members left after the 4th one. So the series was left to some of the more, I want to say minor characters, because I feel like it's an ensemble cast. And yeah, I think Michael Winslow was very important to the series, and David Graff was important to the series, and even Marion Ramsey as Hooks was important to the series, especially Leslie Easterbrook as Callahan and her white t-shirts and jumping into pools. Very important to the series, especially for some of us kids. And, you know, having your villain as like G.W. Bailey and silly Bobcat Goldthwait, and just like a lot of and George Gaines, of course, as Commandant Lassard. It had all the ingredients. Part 4, it was a lot of that. A lot of, you know, it was kind of like one last real go around for the Police Academy series for me, because of the main cast being in it and just being complete silliness. I feel like 4 more than some of the other sequels kind of is very busy and a lot of jokes. They throw a lot at you, and some things stick, some things don't. There's skateboarding in it. There's a lot of silliness, and Sharon Stone's in it, so you know that's great. Yeah, so it's got a lot of things in it that I like. So I like Police Academy 4. I think it's fun. Not embarrassed by that one bit. So that was like the first April release, and there were a couple more that I'm not covering. The Night Stalker, which I haven't seen, and a movie called Starship, which I remember renting on video, but I don't know much. I don't remember it. I just remember the cover really well. There was one more April 3rd release. Not quite as good as Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol, but what is? Here's the trailer.
In 1982, Crippen High School was the scene of a series of brutal, savage murders. The homicidal maniac who committed the crimes was never captured. Now he's about to return.
Killer to the left! Killer to the right! Stand up! Sit down! Right!
Return to Horror High. to horror high. It's a scream.
Okay, Return to Horror High. Truly, truly stupid movie. I mean that with warm regard. No, it is really pretty stupid. A few years ago, a mysterious serial killer caused panic on Crippen High School. The killer was never caught. A movie company, Cosmic Pictures, has decided to make a feature movie about the events on location at the now abandoned school. Since members of cast and crew disappear without a trace, it seems that history is repeating itself. So yeah, you're making a movie about a serial killer in a high school on location where it actually happened. And from what I gather from the movie, it's pretty exploitation-y, kind of like this movie, or silly and stupid. So yeah, pretty much in pretty bad taste. I guess like the movie itself, it's in pretty bad taste. This is a movie I would recommend for die-hard horror movie fans who have to see every slasher movie there is. It's not good, but there definitely has some moments in it that I think are fun. I think I like a slasher, and like a whodunit. People getting killed off one by one. So I will recommend it for that. Also, that Maureen McCormick's in it. Because I love the Brady Bunch. and her in a role that I guess is meant to be pretty. I guess it's a pretty campy performance, but it's a pretty campy movie. But it's one of those movies where it's intentionally campy, and it just goes for it a little too heavy-handed right from the beginning. That kind of annoyed me a bit. I'm just being honest here, and I don't know. But one of the good things about the movie too is that it kills off George Clooney first. He shows up in the movie and he dies pretty quickly, so that's nice. It's nice when you can kill off the big movie stars, the soon-to-be big movie stars, early in a slasher movie. His friend Brad Pitt was in a slasher movie, a much better slasher movie, Cutting Class, and I'm not telling you if he lives or not, but I love that movie. Not so much this one. But for completists, check out Return to Horror High. It feels like a late entry in the slasher genre. Lori Loughlin is the star of the movie. She's like the final girl in a bad wig. And she was in another slasher movie, The Prey, early on in her career, which I liked more. I think it was more entertaining to me. She was also in the one with the kids, Bloody Birthday, which is great. She's kind of a scream queen, I guess. She was in 3 of these slasher movies, so yeah. But I would definitely rank Bloody Birthday first, then The Prey, and then Return to Horror High in that order. That's the order I like them. So yeah, I did see it in the theater. I remember seeing it in the theater. I saw it at the Fort Wayne Theater, and I saw Police Academy in the theater as well. And I just remember not thinking much about it, other than like, oh yeah, it's fun to see a slasher movie in the theater. That's all that mattered to me. It didn't matter if the movie wasn't very good. And also I liked that it was a New World movie. So yay, New Worlds. Moving on, we're going into our next week. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in April, so there's not a lot of releases that I'm going to be talking about today, so I'll be going this pretty quickly. Here is the WPIX 1992 TV spot for this movie, because I couldn't dig up a proper theatrical trailer for it. Here it is.
He knew his idea was big.
I'm talking about a men's calendar for women. Athletic guys, it's a sports calendar.
But he never dreamed it would be this big.
You've seen a young man in your calendar that just might be our fellow.
Now everybody wants a piece of this hunk and a piece of the profits. Is he in over his head?
What could possibly go wrong?
Anything and everything. John Dye and Morgan Fairchild, Campus Man.
Tonight at 8 on Channel 11, New York's movie station.
I'm gonna need more scotch today. Campus Man. I've talked about Campus Man on the podcast before, so I'll be fairly brief about it. Campus Man has montages and music. I even opened the podcast with a song from Campus. There's a lot of music in this movie. Point of No Return by New Shoes, which is in one of the montages, is in Campus Man. The many montages and songs and perfectness that is this movie. This is one of the most 1987 movies there is, and I've always been a big fan of it. Kathleen Wilhoit is in this movie. She's great in it. She's like one of the friends she always played. If she wasn't playing the drugged out girl or the troubled girl, she's like the friend, and she's great. She left an impression on me. Miles O'Keefe was Cactus Jack, and you have Kim Delaney in there, and Morgan Fairchild as Catherine Van Buren, the glamorous magazine editor from New York who sees a chance to make a star out of Brett Wilson, the diver that is the campus man of the title, and it's about a kid who, like the old 80s plot where the kid has to like somehow come up with his tuition because of something went wrong, like his parents won't pay it. And he owes money, and so he has to come up with some scam to like pay his tuition. And in this case, he comes up with a calendar of like hot sports dudes, and it becomes very successful. And eventually sees the eye of Morgan Fairchild, who wants to find the man of the '80s, and she does with Brett Wilson, as he's very man of the '80s looking. And and there's a lot of wackiness that ensues in the movie, and I love this movie. It's so 80s. I can't sing its praises enough. See it now. Watch it. I'm sure it's available in some format. I have it on DVD. Maybe it's on streaming somewhere. I don't know. It's on DVD. Get the DVD. If it's on DVDs out of print, watch it on some thing. Whatever things you use, your DVD player, your computer, your TV. I'll reenact scenes for you if you want. I could act out the movie if you want. I don't know which part I'll play. I don't think I'm going to play the part of any of the hot sports dudes, because that's just not a hot sports dude. I could probably play Morgan Fairchild for you, or I could try to do Cactus Jack, even though he's kind of hot too. Maybe I'll just be one of the weirdos online to get their calendar signed by Brett Wilson. That could be it. I love this movie. Check it out. Let's move on to our next one. It is... Oh, boy. What a disappointment. Here's a trailer.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, on the other side of the lake, we have the famous Villa Diodati, where Lord Byron, greatest living English poet, resides in exile. He was forced to leave his native land after many scandals. Mad, bad, and dangerous to know, she called him.
Tell the truth, Albert. He's the devil. Show them your cloven hoof.
Isn't your theory that lightning can endow a lifeless being with life? To create a ghost story is nothing, but to create a ghost, let death be our witness. Our minds will do the rest. This is not a game. Gaze into the eyes. Conjure of your darkest fear. Call me beautiful.
We have to leave now, all of us.
It's no good. You can't run away from your own fears.
Is there no escape from this madhouse? And our punishment is that we have created.
know what happened here. I love Ken Russell. I talk about Ken Russell a lot in the podcast. I feel like certain movies of his for sure that I'm a big fan of. And I like Gothic when I saw it on home video when it came out. I didn't see it in the theater, though it played at the Cinema One, I remember. And it, I liked it on home video. It was creepy. I thought it was creepy, and it was good actors in it. I hadn't seen it in a long time. I think I saw it on DVD when the DVD came out, and just don't remember much about from that viewing. But I was under this impression that I was a big Gothic fan for some reason. Because I liked the movies that kind of like came out around this point, for like Lair of the White Worm. I liked that one a lot, and a few others by Ken Russell around this point. I feel like he was churning out movies left and right. Of course, Crimes and Passion, and The Rainbow. I remember liking that a lot too. But I don't know. Watching it now, rewatching it for the podcast, like, what was I thinking? This movie is terrible. Well, it's not terrible. It just has so much potential, but it's like squandered by guy being so kind of annoying in a way. It's just so over the top from the beginning that I just kind of like lost interest because it was so ridiculous and over the top. And I know this is kind of like Ken Russell's MO. Like, this is the way he operates. Like, he kind of likes to flip your expectations, especially when it's something based on a true, not a true story, but based on a story. Based on something that might have happened, and based on, in this case, Lord Byron and Percy Shelley's story about how they gathered together to scare each other with stories, and then this eventually led to Mary Shelley writing Frankenstein. Good cast, like, there's a lot of potential. Good cast: Gabriel Byrne, Julian Sands, Natasha Richardson, Timothy Spall. Creepy girl Miriam Sire, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she's so creepy in the movie. Just her face. But I don't know, just so hammy from the beginning. And the Thomas Dolby soundtrack, my God, the fuck was he thinking by putting Thomas Dolby in the soundtrack? It's just so blaring and like loud and obnoxious and annoying, and just doesn't fit the scenes at all. Not trying to knock Thomas Dolby, but just like this was one of his 2 scores that he did. And just like maybe not good at doing movie scores, because you've seen like some of Michael Winner's movies, right? How like he uses like members of Led Zeppelin to like do his scores, and just kind of like it doesn't really work, but it works because it's so bonkers and insane, especially in like Death Wish 3 and Scream for Help. Like the scores are so crazy for those. Here you get Thomas Dolby doing this music that does not fit in the scene, any of the scenes, and just so over the top and ridiculous. And Ken Russell just going, just with his visuals and like making his actors seem kind of really hammy and crazy and over the top. So I was really surprised at how like I didn't like Gothic in this case. I was really like, oh, I'm gonna rewatch Gothic. I'm gonna be in for a treat. I was not in for a treat. I was in for a big disappointment. But Gothic fans, I apologize. I mean, I don't know what to say. It just wasn't my cup of tea this time. And it's coming from someone who loves Ken Russell, and I've had heated arguments about Ken Russell before with people. Like, some people just really, really hate him and hate what he has to do. And I wouldn't say I hated him. This is what he did here, but just really just thought, man, this could have been good, but it wasn't, sadly. But yeah, there's always the other movies he made around this time period to go to. All right, let's get to moving on. In April 10th, there were a few movies on April 10th, so here's a TV spot for the next one.
The Ulysses Android is an amazing piece of equipment.
I'm not used to promoting hardware. I promote people.
Do you think Miss Stone has sex appeal? I think you're the most attractive woman I know.
I'm the only woman you know.
From the director of Desperately Seeking Susan,
It is that woman. It's
Making Mr. Right.
Opens Friday, April 10th at a theater near you. Check local listings for details.
I feel like we praise Susan Sineman a lot in this podcast, as people should, because Susan Sineman's a great filmmaker, and her voice really needs to be heard, especially in modern films today, where movies are just not as good and don't have that distinct female point of view, like in movies like Making Mr. Right, and Desperately Seeking Susan, and She-Devil, and Cookie, and even her, she sits at the bar with Sex and the City. She did the first episode of that, and I just like her so much, and Making Mr. Right is just one of those movies that I watched as a kid and watched it over and over and over. I had the VHS tape, the HBO Orion VHS tape, and it just was a favorite of mine, mine and my sisters, and we just watched it a lot and got a lot of play. And some things went over my head, or just didn't appreciate it as much because of being, a boy, or at this point, like 12, 13, probably watching it, and I just loved John Malkovich in the movie and Adam Magnuson. I just thought they were so great. Like, who are these cool people? Like, especially Adam Magnuson is like this super cool person that I want to, hang out with. And John Malkovich is this really dynamic actor who could pull off not one but two roles, and just make these characters seem so different from each other, even though they look the same and have similar qualities. It was amazing what he did with this role early in his career. And just the amazing cast of Making Mr. Right. Glenn Henley, Laurie Metcalf, Polly Bergen, Hart Bachner, Polly Draper. Just a lot of great people spread throughout, doing some really fine work and just having really fun with it. It's a very 80s movie. It feels very much of its time. Set in 1987, filmed in Florida. And I just love that about it. It's, I guess you could call it a romantic comedy mixed with like sci-fi elements, and it has those elements of romantic comedy, but not like the romantic comedy that will make your eyes glaze over. I mean, I do like those romantic comedies myself, but it doesn't have, there's a lot going on in this movie. It's a very busy movie, has a lot to say about relationships and people and how they interact with each other, or how we kind of want to not interact with other people in some cases, and how it, how you can, how an artificial life form can find love with a woman who, because of how he pays attention to her and how he looks at, some of the details, and then some men don't pick up or just are too lazy to look at. And there's a lot of feminist ideas in the movie that I won't elaborate on because I don't want to scare you away from the movie, because I think it's not an overtly feminist in your face movie, but the ideas are there, and Susan Seidemann brilliantly mixes them into her film, like she did with Desperately Seeking Susan, like she does with She-Devil. Just makes great entertainment out of it, and just can't say how much I love Anne Magnuson in this movie as well. Just can't say it enough. She's just so dynamic, and like my wife was also a big fan of hers in this movie. She's so cool. She just wanted to be her, and so you just kind of like, it's that interesting mix of someone who was a performer, a performance artist like Anna Magnuson, mixing her into like a studio romantic comedy at the time. Just that can only have happened in the 80s. It's not happening now. We're lucky to get like, someone we sort of recognize, and but who's probably way too attractive, and doesn't have like acting chops, and doesn't have anything interesting other than like Twitter following. So having someone who's as smart and as edgy and as funny as Anne Magnuson and in the movie and the lead, something that was daring, and that's something that Susan Seidemann went up to bat for. She fought for her to get her in this movie and to have her as the lead. The studio sort of wanted someone who was more popular at the time, and just so glad that she fought those fights, because it makes for a better film. And Making Mr. Right is just one of those movies that I will never let go, because I just always go back to it. And it's on Blu-ray now from Olive Films, released it. And so I upgraded my DVD to Blu-ray, and I'll get a lot of play out of it, as I did with the DVD, and I'll get a lot of play out of it like I did with the VHS before it. I can't go on too much about this movie, there was a podcast that was on this movie. The Projection Booth did a 4-hour plus podcast on this movie, and it was amazing. You had a lot of the principals, the director, the writers, some of the cast talking about the movie, and a lot of great detail. And so I recommend you checking out that podcast, The Projection Booth, for Making Mr. Right. It's from fairly recent, within the last couple months, so it should be pretty easy to find if you do a search for it. Pretty amazing, gotta say. Mike White does some really great work, and with his podcast, he puts a lot of time and energy and effort into it, much more than I would ever have to do with my own. So I highly recommend you checking it out, and checking out the movie, especially because it is something special. Okay, let's move on.
Michael J. Fox is Brantley Foster. He came to New York to make it on his own.
You're fired, kid. Sorry.
Mom, I'm doing great. New York is just like Kansas. Intensified.
Luckily, he didn't have to.
I need a job, Uncle Howard.
Around here, I'm Mr. Prescott.
They started him at the bottom.
Show the college puke the ropes and keep him out of my face.
But he had a secret way of starting at the top.
This is Carlton Whitfield. Carlton Whitfield?
Well, I didn't hire any Carlton Whitfield. There's something going on around here, Foster.
He was trying to stay one jump ahead of everyone else.
If you're under the second lap, you still got a comfortable lead.
When his uncle's wife got the jump on him.
What the hell happened?
He fainted.
That's when he met her.
Tonight? Booked. Tomorrow night? Booked. All right, but don't beg, okay? It's embarrassing.
They were a merger made in heaven.
That wasn't bad.
That's when everything else
Howard, please.
went to hell.
I never slept with the boss.
No, you slept with the boss's wife.
Will you marry?
No, but I'd like to beat that in.
Oh my God! The sexual revolution is over. Everybody out of bed.
Michael J. Fox. The secret of my success.
Been drinking scotch, of course, as I usually do, and this time I paired it with marshmallow peeps. Those yellow goodness marshmallowy things left over from Easter. Yes, I'm stealing my kids' leftover Easter candy. It's a price a parent has to pay for having kids and not trying to not let them eat sugar all the time, so they don't become crazy fucking lunatics all the time. So I'm eating their Easter candy. God knows I don't need it, but and I'm prone to cavities, but I'm eating it. And I love marshmallowy things, so Peeps are, perfect. Quite perfect. Love them. They strangely pair really well with scotch, so I highly recommend it. I'm sure you can find some Peeps at the store on discount, considering that Easter is over, thankfully. Now, that was the TV spot, of course, for The Secret of My Success. So, yay, another good movie for April. I loved this movie when I was a kid. It's a very likable movie. I mean, it's Michael J. Fox, at the height of his Michael J. Foxness. He had already done Back to the Future and Teen Wolf. He was on Family Ties. That was soon to wrap up. So his movie career was getting going, and this was like a big hit when it came out. This is probably the biggest hit of April. I didn't look at the box office on any of these things this month, but I think it was pretty high. It was up there in like $60 million range for a studio comedy released in April. Especially, it was pretty big. That's the biggest movie of the month. And so wise was The Secret of My Success so successful? Because it's Michael J. Fox, the height of his powers. He's just so damn likable. And it's a fun movie. It's a fun screwball comedy plot of a guy, farm boy, trying to make it in the big bad city of New York City. And he can't really do it. I mean, he has to kind of manipulate the situation, take the matters into his own hands by pretending to be somebody else, like you do in the 80s in every great movie, and try to make a success by a masquerade. And then hopefully we'll get people's attention and get successful. Yes, 80s yuppie greed was a big thing back then, and I don't mind it in movies. Of course, in real life, it sucks, big time. Especially if you're following current events, it sucks when rich people kind of take over things. But you do want Brantley Foster, played by Michael J. Fox, to be a success. He's this hardworking kid from the farm who just really has a knack for things and for business, and he tries to make the most out of a situation, and that's what you do in a town like New York City to survive. I just always was very entertained. There's a lot of set pieces. Herbert Ross directed it. He does a good job here. I just always liked Herbert Ross as a director. He was very versatile. He did lots of different kinds of movies and musicals and comedies and dramas, and I just liked that he had a variety, of course. And this is definitely one of his more successful movies. He did Footloose. That was a pretty successful movie too, I would say. And he just takes an actor who's charming and likable script and makes the most out of it. And I knew this movie, and for some reason when I looked up, or I just remembered that actually, like, some critics didn't like it, they really just were turned off by it. I thought it was just kind of this manipulative Hollywood, crap. And to some degree it is typical Hollywood stuff, but what is wrong with that? If it's entertaining you, who cares? And I would say The Secret of My Success is definitely one of the more entertaining movies of 1987, and I thought it was a okay movie. It was going to be horribly outdated and all that stuff that people say about movies that 30 years later, and that it wouldn't hold up as well as it did as when I was a kid. But I found myself really enjoying it again, and I used to watch it a lot as a kid too. So it was interesting seeing it again and just liking it just as much all these years later. So it was nice revisiting it, and Michael J. Fox and Helen Slater have good chemistry, even though she's like a foot taller than he is, or seems like it. The movie makes, pokes fun at that too. He often had kind of shorter co-stars. And I love Michael J. Fox. I'm not trying to knock his height or anything. I just liked them together in the movie. I thought it was great. And the actors who played his aunt and uncle were great. And really funny, and especially his aunt, and she just kind of there's a lot of I was like, this is a sex farce in this, and lots of funny moments and lots of Three's Company antics and shenanigans, which I love. So perfect movie for a 12-year-old boy. 1987, perfect movie for a 42-year-old boy, almost 42, my god, and just loved it, and just can't recommend it enough. I have it in a DVD collection, Michael J. Fox collection. There's 3 or 4 movies. So I had it on VHS too, I remember, so I got a lot of play out of that VHS tape, that MCA tape. Now DVD, so not on Blu-ray though, strangely. Universal hasn't put it on Blu-ray, even though it was a successful movie for them. I'm sure a pretty good catalog title for them too. So yeah, Universal, if you're out there, put it out on Blu-ray. I think it would do it pretty well for you guys, or at least for a movie that's 30 years old. Stop sitting on these movies. I mean, what are these studios doing? They just don't care. They're interested in Jurassic World. They're interested in the Marvel movies and the big tentpole movies and their catalog. They're not interested in movies that are 30 years old, even though they were big hits when they came out too. Little small little movies that made no money. So it's kind of sad that it's like that. It's interesting though. Times we're living in media. We've talked about it before on the podcast. How a lot of obscure movies are coming out of the woodwork because of small little companies who love movies and love restoring these little movies that kind of disappeared into the void after time. But unfortunately, it seems like a lot of the movies are kind of cult and horror items only, or movies that are just have definitely have some sort of cult audience in some way. And I wouldn't say a movie like Suit My Success would have a cult audience. It's kind of a very mainstream movie. So I just kind of would like to be like a world where all those movies kind of converge and get a release, and not just like the really tiny movies and the really big movies. I want the medium-sized movies too. I want Looking for Mr. Goodbar on Blu-ray for God's sakes already, and all the great Paramount catalog titles that are out there, and Universal and a lot of the studios that just don't care. But luckily there are people out there doing the movie lord's work and releasing stuff. So hopefully one day, a lot of these movies that don't have new media releases will have them, and we'll talk about them all the time. I'll be talking about them all the time anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's get into a song here, take a little break, and hope you enjoy it.
The number you have reached has been disconnected. Has been disconnected. Has been disconnected.
Okay, hope you enjoy that. I've been drinking some more scotch during the break, so I'm feeling pretty good. Let's get into a trailer for our next movie. Here it is.
Platoon's Charlie Sheen, Goonies' Cary Green, and Ferris Bueller's Alan Ruck.
Cool.
3 for the road.
A very unusual way of eating.
Put the fork right in between your big toe and your next toe. You can do it if you practice.
Her personality
Plug it out, come on.
is rebellious. Her behavior is outrageous. And despite everything, he's beginning to enjoy it.
It would be my pleasure.
Charlie Sheen, Cary Green, and Alan Ruck.
Cool.
3 for the road. Rated PG.
3 for the Road. Okay, I've talked a little bit about 3 for the Road before, I think with a song on a soundtrack podcast, because I like the song from the movie, the theme song for the movie. It's a fun little kind of screwball teen comedy, I guess. A takeoff of 2 for the Road. Of course, 3 for the Road with Charlie Sheen, Cary Green, and Alan Ruck. Charlie Sheen playing this political aide who gets a job of transporting a senator's daughter to a mental institution. And of course he falls for her. She's crazy, but endearingly crazy. She has big hair, so of course she's crazy. But as we learn, she has some issues and some problems at home and things. She has her reasons for being a troublemaker, if you will. And the movie kind of goes into that a little bit, but it also becomes very silly. And the heart of this movie is a road movie, and I just love a good road movie. I wouldn't say it's a great movie or anything, but I just like a road movie. And you get some charming actors. At least Charlie Sheen at the time was charming, just put him in silly situations, and I'm kind of sold. I'm an easy sell that way, and definitely one of those movies that I just liked. I rented I saw it in the theater. I saw it at the Fort Way. I want to say the Fort Way Theater. Enjoyed it. I'm sorry, the Walker Theater. Now I'm thinking about it. Although it premiered at the Ziegfeld Theater, of all places. They really thought this movie was going to be big. I think it only ended up making like $1 million or something. It bombed. It was from the Vista organization. Do you remember them? A very short-lived company. And Made to Order was one of the movies. Dudes, Ruskies, and I want to say Friday Night Part 2 was put out through Vista as well. So they just very few movies, handful of movies, and now of course all those movies are in rights limbo. One of those movies isn't Remote Control. That's because Jeff Lieberman got the rights back, and he put it out himself on Blu-ray, thankfully. So there's only one Vista movie that's out on Blu-ray. The rest of them are just like, where are they? In limbo somewhere. I would love to see Made to Order on Blu-ray. I would even buy a Blu-ray of 3 for the Road, even though it's not like a great movie, because I like teen movies, and that was fun enough. Night Flyers was also by them, and Rented Lips. I love Rented Lips. It's not a great movie either, but it's a Robert Downey Sr. movie, and it's very irreverent. And Dick Shawn was in that one, and my favorite, Jennifer Tilly. So yeah, Vista Organization had some fun movies around this time period, and 3 for the Road, I would say, is one of those movies that you probably saw on the video store shelf and passed up because, or you just wanted to see like Charlie Sheen and Cary Green in another movie. They were in Lucas together, or Alan Ruck and Charlie Sheen, who appeared in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but not in the same scenes. Sally Kellerman's in this movie too as the mom. Raymond J. Barry is that senator that I mentioned, the father. He's a dick. And if you know Raymond J. Barry as an actor, yeah, he'd be kind of a dick. He's always a dick in movies. And so it's one of the movies that kind of came and went. And I'd like to find out more information about it. There's not much about it, really. But I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. And it's just because there's no release of it. It was never released on DVD. 3 for the Road. Charming little movie, gets a little crazy, gets a little really ridiculous at some point. So there's kind of like a tone of the show with the movie. But I liked it for what it was. That was our last April 10th movie. One movie came out on video Let's see, between these weeks, made its VHS premiere. Here's the VHS screening trailer for it. Let's go through this one quickly.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, that was Killer Workout, which is also known as Aerobicide. David Pryor. Are you familiar with David Pryor's work? He made some interesting movies. Deadly Prey. It's one of his famous movies. And Killer Workout is kind of, it's kind of, some people might call it a what the fuck movie. 2 years ago, a young woman named Valerie was burned after entering a tanning salon. Now her twin sister Rhonda runs a local gym where all of a sudden people are being murdered. Yeah, that's basically the plot. People are just dying in this gym, and someone's killing them with a huge safety pin. Yeah, weird, right? There's a lot of like aerobics. There's people getting bumped off. So if you like those two things, you'll love Killer Workout. It was put out on Blu-ray. Yes, on some of these movies that don't have Blu-rays, Secret of My Success doesn't have a Blu-ray, but Killer Workout does. It has a weird transfer. I think it was like from a VHS, but put onto a Blu-ray. So you can imagine what that looks like. It's a classic of its own sort. Not one of my favorite slash movies. I'm going to admit that. It wasn't a movie that I just loved as a kid. But I think it's amusing for what it does now. If you want to see somebody get killed with a giant safety pin, watch this movie. That's all I'm going to say. All right. April 17th. Now, I always wanted to see this movie, Heaven. It was a documentary by Diane Keaton, her debut as a director, and I was never able to see it. It was never released on DVD. It was on VHS, I believe, but I just never caught it. I guess it wasn't at my video store or any video stores I went to. I don't know why. Or just passed it up and just didn't realize what it was. And it's not on YouTube. I can't really hunt down a copy of it. So I do need to track down Heaven so I can watch it. This looks like totally up my alley, and I love Diane Keaton, of course. I did get a chance to watch this movie. Here's the trailer.
For Ken and Joe, opportunity knocks.
I knew nothing about him when he walked in.
Hello.
I thought the radio play was derivative. I said so.
I'm writing a better one. For the stage.
He said, next time, can I bring my friend? And I thought, does he mean friend?
For all these books, I'll never catch up.
I'm a cultivated person, John. You'll find it rubs off.
And I thought, yes, he does mean friend.
I'm Joe Orton's friend, as if it's a profession.
Lunch. Is that better, Joe?
Fine.
It's better to me. Does it feel better to you?
It's better for me.
It's better for me, too. Success.
His second play, Loot, was a smash hit.
Currently, I am working on a screenplay for 4 boys who are nudging Jesus Christ for position of #1 most famous person ever.
No. These are normal, healthy boys.
Oh, but they're all very pretty.
By the sea, by the sea, by the beautiful sea, you and me are happy with me.
I just want to go to the awards. I could, look, Joe Orton and guest. Why?
Because it's for me. I wrote it.
I gave you the title.
Okay, so when they have awards for titles, you can go to that.
My plays are about getting away with it, and the ones who get away with it are the guilty.
I wouldn't care if you gave me some credit. If you only told people I helped you.
I've got away with it so far, and I'm going to go on.
Mr. Orton? Mr. Halliwell?
Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Prick Up Your Ears. A new film from the director of My Beautiful Laundrette.
Okay, that's a trailer for Prick Up Your Ears. That's starring Gary Oldman and Alfred Molina. It's based on the true story of a playwright, Joe Orton, who kind of at the height of his fame, let's say it doesn't go well for him. He's in a relationship with Alfred Molina. They live together, they're lovers, and then, there's some jealousy and rivalry between the two because Molina's character kind of inspires him. He's a writer himself, or a budding writer, and he helps him with his work, and but then Gary Oldman's career takes off, and he's writing these great plays, and now he's writing a screenplay for the Beatles, and some friction, to say the least, happens in their relationship, and their very kind of strained and interesting relationship. I saw this movie. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it when it came out on VHS, and I liked it. I thought it was a pretty solid movie. Stephen Frears as a director was someone who was very interesting, and I liked him, and I still like him as a director. He did the movie The Hit before this, which was in My Beautiful Laundrette, and then later on he shortly did Dangerous Liaisons and The Grifters right after this. So he was definitely a director who was definitely coming into his own as a filmmaker, and he definitely lets the actors do their thing, and Gary Oldman and Alfred Molina and even Vanessa Redgrave give really good performances in this movie, and just kind of you follow these characters, and you really get into their situation, and you feel kind of the pain from both sides, and I guess we got really into it. That was really well done, and a very strong film. Definitely one of the stronger films of the month. And it's no Police Academy 4 though. But I really liked it. I really like this film. Prick up your ears, Stephen Frears. So I highly recommend you checking it out. It's on Blu-ray. It's on DVD. So it's easy to access. Wallace Shawn is in it. Julie Walters, good actors, and a very absorbing story. I really got into it this viewing recently. I found myself knowing what will happen at the end, because it's already foreshadowed in the beginning, and something's going to go horribly wrong. But you still get really into the story and the relationship between these characters. So really well done. Loved it. Okay, let's move on to our next one. And here's the TV spot.
Jimmy Garrett joined the Air Force for the challenge.
I just hope I'm up to it.
But instead of Top Gun,
Does this mean I'll be flying soon?
No, not you. Them.
they made him Top Banana.
These are monkeys.
It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
Matthew Broderick in Project X.
Available at all leading video stores.
Okay, that was a TV spot for Project X, starring Ferris Bueller, or Matthew Broderick playing Ferris Bueller again, in a movie that I sort of liked, didn't know, it was okay when I saw it in 87. It's at the Walker Theater, I remember that. It was just okay, Project X, Matthew Broderick kind of playing this Air Force pilot who gets into trouble a lot, and so he gets the job of taking care of some chimps, so they could pilot. He's not exactly sure what he's training them for. Just to pilot something, and then he finds out exactly what they're doing, and the movie becomes a message movie as we learn more as ourselves as an audience, and has his character, we kind of see through his eyes, and you really start feeling for the animals in the movie and the chimps, and his character is kind of like teaching these beings to be pilots in the situation. And it gets kind of sad there, I gotta say. I found myself a bit, shall I say, moved while watching this movie again. I just didn't think that a movie like Project X would even move me. I don't know why. I just thought it was kind of like whatever. It was just like a frivolous little movie that came out around this time. But I did get into it again. Helen Hunt's on hand as the girl who trains them, and they're taken away from her one day, and they end up in the military, as chimps do, and yeah, there's this experiment. I won't say exactly. I I'm not trying to avoid some spoilers, but it gets kind of dark there, and there might be someone who's like a hotshot Air Force pilot. I guess this is right off of Top Gun in '86 being a big hit. Ferris Bueller might have to save the day here, and there might have to be some airplanes involved. I'm just gonna say that much. But I really liked it. It gets kind of preposterous in some places, but the animals are all they're all good, and I'm sure they used. It wasn't like a movie where I was watching CGI or animatronics, really. I feel like I was watching real animals interact with humans, and it was nice to see a movie kind of refreshingly old-fashioned in an 80s way. William Sadler's in the movie. He may be bad. William Sadler. Was he bad? I don't know. Is he usually bad in movies? You know what he's like. Not a lot of, recognizable faces, but some of them are, and we like them. We definitely, we were in for the ride with Matthew Broderick, and so it was good casting to cast somebody who's kind of like immediately likable, and I enjoyed it this time. Jonathan Kaplan directed the movie, who, he hasn't made, I wouldn't say in his like kind of mainstream career movies that I love. I guess Unlawful Entry is one of the movies that I loved that he made a few years after this, with Madeline Stowe and Kurt Russell, of course. He made Heart Like a Wheel, which was pretty good. And a movie I loved in the 70s, Over the Edge. He directed that one. Tim Hunter script. But in his early career, he was making kind of exploitation, like Chuck Turner and Student Teachers and Night Call Nurses and White Line Fever. It's funny, so exploitation director does well and becomes a mainstream filmmaker, and I think he does maybe TV or something, but so I'm not sure what he's up to lately, but I definitely enjoyed Project X this go around, so I'm not going to be a cynical guy and say it's whatever, but I definitely enjoyed it and get a little teary-eyed there. Damn those chimps. They moved me. Alright, here's a movie that also moves me. Here's the trailer for it.
He's back. It's the terrorizing sequel to the film that shocked a nation by breaking all the rules. It's Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2. Santa's back, and he's mighty miffed at the naughty nun who drove his demented brother on a murderous rampage that made headlines across the country. Now, step by step, weapon by weapon, victim by victim, Santa's gonna finish what his brother started. So you better watch out. You better not pout, because Santa Claus is coming to your town, and he knows who's been naughty and who's been nice. Hold on tight for the sequel that'll chill you through your very soul. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2.
Garbage Day! Oh boy. Yes, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2. I saw this in the theater. I saw the first one in the theater as well. Why did I go see this in the theater? Because I liked the first one. I thought the first one was fun. You know what? And when I went to see the second one in the theater, I saw the first one again in the theater. Those of you who've seen Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 know exactly what I mean, because I don't know how much percentage of the footage of the first one is in the second one, but it's a damn lot. So it's like seeing the whole movie over again, like a truncated version inside of a sequel. And that's kind of crazy in itself. I do love the first one. It's, not like an amazing movie. It's on a Halloween level good, but it's in its own crazy, cynical, slashery way. It's fun, and And I always enjoy, even though it's kind of downbeat, and it's kind of you kind of might need to shower after watching it. I just dig it for what it is, and Santa slashers. Christmas is not really my holiday. Halloween is more my holiday. So, but I do enjoy a good Santa slasher. Part 2 has Santa slashing. It has Eric Freeman in this really over-the-top role. I don't know. It's hard to ignore some of the greatness of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. So I'm not gonna write it off as a whatever sequel. I think the Silent Night, Deadly Night sequels have their own charms. I'd love to see a box set of all of them. Someone needs to put them all out. Vestron, whoever has the rights to these guys. Silent Night, Deadly Night box set. Think about it. We have Phantasm box set. We have the House box set now. We have all these box sets coming out. Why not a Silent Night, Deadly Night box set? Why not a Garbage Day box set? Could be in the shape of a garbage truck, or it could be something fun. It could be lots of blood and guts. Fun. Oh man. Imagine seeing this movie as a kid. I was like 11 going on 12, with your grandmother and your little sister is 9. Fun for the whole family, these movies, gotta say. Also April 17th, Summer Camp Nightmare, which I wasn't able to rewatch this time because there isn't a good version of it. It was available on VHS, and I had the Embassy I think it was Embassy or Nelson VHS. But I don't know what happened to it. I think someone might have stolen a tape. So I'm sure it's worth a few bucks because it was never released officially since the VHS tape. So I need to revisit it. I know Penelope Spheris has something to do with it. I think she might have wrote it or might have even directed some of it. I need to revisit this movie to get to bring me back to seeing it on the home video when it came out. But oh well. Also, Wild Thing came out. Another movie I haven't seen in 30 years, or I think I've seen Summer Camp Nightmare in the late 80s somewhere. This one I really haven't seen since it came out on video, so I don't remember anything about it. I know John Sayles has something to do with the screenplay. So might be up my alley to revisit that one since it had Sayles on it. I don't know how much of Sayles' script was actually in the movie or in the finished product, but something I need to revisit at some point for sure. But there is definitely a movie that came out April 17th that I've seen. Here's the trailer.
The family dog. A faithful friend. A happy helper. And a delicious side dish. There have been many shaggy dog stories, but none more amazing than the story of Bobo.
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 Discovered in the wilderness.
Where have you been for the last 28 years? I was beginning to get worried.
He was raised by wolves.
Wolves. Returned to a world he doesn't understand.
Oh, I want to sign him up for tennis lessons.
Driven by primitive instincts.
I have to go potty.
With the proper teaching, Bobo could take his place in society.
On the brink of inheriting a huge fortune.
No sibling jealousy on your part?
What? Maybe Mike.
Benji, have you seen Bobo?
And now, victim to his brother's schemes.
Once your brother puts his signature on these papers, he'll sign over all rights to his inheritance to you. Oh.
No, B.
Or will this dog...
Bobo, sit.
...outsmart his master? And start acting like a man. Christopher Lloyd.
All that money, what's he gonna spend it on? Kibble?
Colleen Camp.
Hold yourself.
Cloris Leachman.
We will neuter a cat in your name.
And Howie Mandel as Bobo.
Oh, my God!
In Walk Like a Man.
Okay, that's the trailer for Walk Like a Man with Howie Mandel and my favorite final girl, Amy Steele from Friday the 13th Part 2 and April Fool's Day. Not a final girl in this movie, unless you want to consider her a final girl in a movie about a woman who teaches a wolf, a boy who was raised by wolves, who's become a man. Now he's taken out of that, out of the forest, and he's rescued, and he needs to adapt to modern society, and she has to teach him. So his family can inherit his money, which was left to him. Christopher Lloyd is Howie Mandel's brother, and of course he's a jerk. And he's really good at playing a jerk in this movie. Colleen Camp is his wife, and there's so many good people in the movie, and it's really just kind of a silly movie. I think some people, I don't know what people think about this movie. I feel like people just don't like it, or just kind of forgot about it. Some people, I'm sure, like it, and like myself, just kind of like it stuck with them for some reason. Maybe it's all the montages, and maybe the scenes where Howie Mandel's in the mall and he's fooling around and being silly and trying to adapt. I love a good fish out of water story, and there's definitely those moments in a mall. Much like in Making Mr. Right, where the android Ulysses is in a mall, and two very 1987 movies where characters who kind of are fish out of water in a mall, in an 87 mall, like that's kind of perfect. Perfect double feature for me, Making Mr. Right and Walk Like a Man. Walk Like a Man, of course, being the much sillier of the two, and you know, not as important of a movie, and for some reason I tend to go back to this movie because it's so damn silly, and I wouldn't call myself a Howie Mandel fan in any way, but he wins me over in this movie as Bobo. What a great name, Bobo. Just kind of cracks me up, and if I'm in the mood for something light, something to make me smile, and doesn't take much, you know, doesn't if I want to not think at all, I get to put on a movie like Walk Like a Man. It makes me happy, and I get to see Amy Steele in a movie that's not slasher, which is kind of fun. She didn't make a lot of movies, unfortunately. She needs to be in all the movies, though, which is great. Okay, Walk Like a Man. Check it out. It's on DVD. I think the DVD is a print, or there's an on-demand DVD from MGM. So I think I have that one, and it's widescreen. But is it even widescreen? I can't remember now. I know the original MGM DVD release was not widescreen, so there's maybe not a good version of this movie available. Unfortunately, another one that slipped through the cracks. But maybe it's because it's got a bad reputation. I don't know. It shouldn't. It's great. All right. On April 18th, the TV premiere of G.I. Joe the movie, which I literally haven't seen since then. I wasn't a G.I. Joe fan, but I had friends who were, so I pretended to be a G.I. Joe fan, to have cool friends who were into G.I. Joe. And I was like a 12-year-old, so I like to play with them too. And I had a friend who had a crazy lair in his basement, and he had it was decked out and G.I. Joes everywhere. I was so friggin' jealous of this kid because he got to have, one, I grew up in a New York City apartment, and I didn't grow up in a house with a basement, so I was jealous of that. And of course he had the basement to himself where he could have all these G.I. Joes and this whole scene, all these scenes going on. Pretty gels, gotta say. And but I played and had fun, and I haven't seen this movie since then. I'm sure I watched it with him, and I don't remember it. G.I. Joe does stuff, right? He fights some bad guys. April 24th, so we're in the last stretch of it here, and here is the TV spot for the first April 24th movie.
I hurt my knee. Looks like you hurt your head.
He's the one man who stands up for what he believes in.
I can't talk about it. I gotta do something about it.
And the only man tough enough to stand in their way.
Termination with extreme prejudice.
You gotta do a lot better than that, mister.
We are space age high tech, and we get caught by some stone age cowboy.
Nick Nolte is Jack Bentine. Extreme Prejudice.
Now playing at select theaters.
Okay, that's a TV spot for Extreme Prejudice, a Walter Hill film. Now, Walter Hill film, wow, yeah. That brightens up my 1987 April list a little bit because Walter Hill rules, right? He has some great movies in his filmography. I like this movie. I liked it when it came out too. I saw it in the theater. It's very tough and gritty, like a lot of the Walter Hill movies. I like Nick Nolte as an actor. I think I went to see this because Nick Nolte was in it. But it's very different for Nick Nolte. Like, I saw, of course, 1986 Down Out in Beverly Hills, which is actually playing tonight at a movie theater in 35mm, but I just wasn't able to go. And I love that movie so much. And so I checked out Extreme Nick Nolte and Extreme Prejudice, and it was like, wow, this is this crazy action movie, kind of westerny kind of movie. And just kind of slow burn in the beginning, and then like action, and there's converging storylines and all that stuff. And I enjoyed it. I just didn't really maybe get some of it. Now it really is like kind of like, you understand that it's Walter Hill doing like his version of a western, and it's kind of a simple storyline that's kind of, I think, problematic because there's two different storylines that happen, and yes, they do converge, like I said, but it's like it happens a little too late in the movie that I just wasn't clear exactly what was going on for like half of it. When I rewatched it, I'm like, what is happening? Who are those guys? I don't really get it. But I like the actors a lot, so it kept me going, and now it kind of makes more sense seeing it all as a whole. And lots of people get shot up good in this movie. A great cast: Nick Nolte, of course, Powers Booth, bad guy. Michael Ironside, probably a bad guy. Rip Torn, we're not sure. Is he bad? Clancy Brown, is he bad? Everyone in this movie, are they a bad guy? The only one we know is a good guy for sure is Nick Nolte. Playing this, Texas Ranger who who has to face off against, his childhood friend, played by Powers Booth, who, it's over a woman, and there's also some other things going on. And so will those things combine? Will it be, it's like, it is Nick Nolte up against it in this movie. Like, he's got a lot of problems he's got to deal with in this border town. And like a good border town movie, this one does that well. And it really is a dusty kind of movie. You really feel the atmosphere and the grit. And of course, with actors like William Forsythe, you really do feel it. And some great cast there, great casting, and just enjoyable. Enjoyable movie. Now, I wouldn't count it as good as, say, The Warriors or Southern Comfort. Some of the better Walter Hill pictures. 48 Hours definitely is one of them. But I liked it. I definitely thought there were some good moments there. Interesting seeing Nick Nolte in a kind of a stoic kind of Gary Cooper role. I'm just not used to it. He was in another 1987 movie I'm sure I'll get to called Weeds, and he was very different in that movie, so very more emotional and creative. So good seeing he had many sides. Nick Nolte, great actor, underrated. There's no trailer for the next movie. I looked for it, but it's called Forever Lulu, and I like this movie. It's a quirky little New York movie. Has like really good actors in it, like Hannah Shigula, who was Fassbender's muse in so many of his movies, and she's kind of the lead here, with Debbie Harry kind of playing this mysterious blonde woman that she's kind of like following around, or like kind of pops up once in a while. And Paul Gleason's in the movie, and Alec Baldwin in a very early role. It might be one of his first, or if not his first role. So it's like a very like downtown New York-y kind of movie. Like I said, quirky, and some interesting things going on. Director Amos Kellick had made kind of a few movies like that. He did Goodbye New York, and There was another movie, Fast Food, Fast Women. I remember he did that, and Sue. So he kind of had like a little kind of that going on there in the 80s and 90s. And I like this movie. It's not a great movie. It's kind of like almost like a Desperately Seeking Susan kind of clone, where these two women, their lives, and how they kind of affect each other in a way. But Debbie Harry really has kind of a very minor role in the sense that even though she's kind of affecting the outcome of what happens in the movie, she doesn't really, she doesn't have like a big a part like Madonna did in Desperately Seeking Susan, where she really does play like a character. She's more of a presence throughout the movie, and it's a very welcome presence. Of course, it's Debbie Harry. I just almost wish that she had more of a speaking role, and I feel like it could have been, could have been more interesting. Could have been Desperately Seeking Susan too, in a way. This movie where Hannah Shigula plays this novelist, and she like witnesses a murder, and kind of like then she becomes a target, and the killers are after her, and she wears a fur coat throughout most of the movie, and it's kind of like those shenanigans, those New York shenanigans you find yourself in, and like having to pay rent and like real world problems like that, and all this silliness happens too. I like the good mix of that, and characters that come in and out that you're not sure if you could trust them or not. It's like, can you trust Alec Baldwin? He's a police officer. He seems nice, but is he trustworthy? I don't know. I liked it. It's just a movie I wouldn't I go out of my way to, to get if you haven't seen it before. But I would definitely check it out if it was on TV. I bought it for $1 on DVD. It was brand new too. I just always passed it up at the video store. I don't know why. So I hadn't seen this one until fairly recently. So it's nice to check out a movie I haven't seen before, and I liked it. Okay, another movie, The Housekeeper, which I've been meaning to get to, just couldn't. Medusa's, aka Year of the Jellyfish, which is a 1984 movie that came out in France but didn't get a release into the US until 1987, April 24th. Valerie Kaprisky from Breathless is in it, so you really should need to check that one out because I love Valerie Kaprisky. I did see, there were two more that I didn't see. Princess Academy, which I saw in the theater in 1987, but I don't remember it at all. I know it was kind of like a boarding school kind of movie, like a private school kind of movie. Like sexy time for sure in it. But I just don't remember it. That's all I remember. And here's a TV spot for my next to last movie. So here it is.
Kaz and Denny love the same things.
A successful relationship takes work.
Moonlight drives.
I just remembered I have a very important appointment.
Romantic hideaways. And all kinds of surprises.
Could I buy you a drink?
Scott Valentine is My Demon Lover.
You look really awful.
A monstrously funny comedy.
Did I do something?
You have to get help for this.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday at a theater near you.
Okay, that's a TV spot for My Demon Lover. Now, a lot of you may recognize that title. Saw the VHS box in the video store. I feel like it was in every video store. It was pretty popular, at least on the shelf. I don't know how much it rented though. I feel like everyone knows Scott Valentine from Family Ties. I'm mentioning Family Ties twice on this episode. He played Nick. Now he plays basically Nick again in this movie. He looks exactly like Nick. It looks like he's wearing the same wardrobe. It's like he stepped off the set of Family Ties and went right into My Demon Lover. I love the plot synopsis. A homeless street musician becomes a demon when sexually aroused. That's a plot synopsis on IMDb, by the way. That's pretty much it. He gets a boner and yeah, he becomes a demon, as you do. As you do. It was Scott Valentine. Michelle Little is the lady in the movie. She's the woman. She was cute. I liked her. I don't remember her in a lot of things though. I know she was in other things. I'm trying to think what they were. She was in a movie called Appointment with Fear, which I haven't seen in a long time. I just remember it being kind of good actually. And she was like one of the girls in Out of Bounds. That wasn't Jenny Wright, and Jenny Wright is great in that movie. And I don't remember what else she was in. I mean, I'm looking at her filmography here, and I don't remember a lot of these. She was in Mystery Date. I don't remember in Mystery Date, but she was there. And quite a few other movies. I guess she retired at some point because her filmography stops in the mid-90s. She's married to an actor, Brett Cullen. I think he's in a lot of things, that guy. So she's not just acting anymore. Her last credit was on Apollo 13. Now, My Demon Lover is completely silly. It's kind of stupid. Like, what is the point of this movie? But I liked it. So I'd recommend it for sure. It's don't expect a masterpiece. Expect a guy literally, turning into this like creature guy because he gets aroused. Well, what's wrong with that as a plot, right? It's the 80s, anything goes. And make a movie about everything. It was released by New Line. I remember that. New Line, this fledgling company. I think it got a DVD release, which I don't own. I only own the VHS. It might be like a DVD on demand thing from Warner. So I need to check that out because I've never seen the movie actually widescreen. I'm assuming the DVD is widescreen. It may not be. Robert Trevor is in it. He's kind of funny in the movie. May play kind of a villainous role. It's kind of like a movie that I guess would have been in the horror section or the comedy section, like either one. I don't think it's not scary at all. It's kind of funny. So I'd put it in the comedy section, though I could see it being in a horror collection of some kind if it was released on a horror label. Directed by Charlie Loventhal, who directed a movie I loved called The First Time, and I mentioned that in the podcast before. That was a teen sex comedy about a guy trying to lose his virginity in college. And he's a film student too, so there's a lot of film student shenanigans, and I think that's a great underrated movie. And that was a movie that Brian De Palma had worked on because his student is Charlie Loventhal had made it, and it was made with the help of De Palma, which is interesting. And I don't think De Palma worked on My Demon Lover. He was busy in 1987. He was making The Untouchables. A little bit busy, but I enjoyed it for what it is. It was fun revisiting it again, and it confirmed exactly what I felt about it in 1987. It was like silly, stupid little movie, but fun. Why not? Made nearly $4 million at the box office, so pretty decent for a little movie like this. You would assume it was a bigger movie because it had Scott Valentine in it. It was hot at the time, of course. Only at the time, and released by New Line, but they were a small little company. I don't think it was made for a lot of money. It was shot in New York. I remember a lot of the locations being like in the West Village, which is nice. There's some stuff in Central Park as well. So it was nice seeing my old stomping grounds, the Village, there. So fun revisit. The last movie, I don't know. You tell me how you feel about this one.
Marty Ranson was the dork of Doddsville High.
You get undressed in there.
His classmates laughed at him.
Are you ready?
Here's Marty.
Where's the bench?
They tormented him.
Where's the bench?
And then they went too far. Now, 5 years later, Marty's throwing a little party. A class reunion.
Come on, you guys, let's party.
They say he still roams the nut house, ever hopeful of that chance to escape, so he can take his evil revenge out on us all.
And he's making sure everyone has the time of their life.
I feel sick.
He's created a romantic atmosphere for rekindling old flames. And a nice place to just hang around. Marty hasn't forgotten a thing. He's giving them a blast from the past they'll never forget. Marty Ranson is still a dork, but tonight he's getting even. Vestron Pictures presents Slaughter High.
Okay, that's Slaughter High. How do you feel about Slaughter High? What are your thoughts on Slaughter High? Write them in, please, because I want to know what you felt. I just looked at the movie I flip-flop so much on. I would say like as much as like Friday the 13th Part 5, New Beginning, because it's so like I hated that movie when it came out, and then I like some elements of it so much, and I kind of feel like that too with this movie. There's some elements that I love about Slaughter High, and some things I really hate about it. But I think I've in my elder years I've kind of warmed up to it more. Because it's just a dumb slasher movie, so I don't, it's not like I should hold this up into high regard, though I do hold slasher movies in general in high regard, as you should, because slasher movies are fun, and they give you exactly what you need, and they're better than a lot of the, important films and Oscar films and all that stuff, so. So Slaughter High is definitely better than anything that's ever won an Oscar in the past 10 years. 8 people are invited to their old high school reunion for their 10-year reunion with a former student disfigured from a prank gone wrong is out to seek revenge. That's right. He's out to get the Marty because they did some pretty mean things to this guy, and they should get their comeuppance, right? This is a movie about 47-year-olds in high school. Okay, they're not 47, they're probably in their 30s, who do some bad things to Marty, and they die in silly ways, and in slasher movie ways, and that's one of the things about slasher movies. You get to see how people get killed off in inventive and crazy ways, and you get that here. You get to have Carolyn Monroe as a teenager, and a host of other unlikables. A lot of unlikable people in this movie. That was one of the things that I hated about it when I was a kid. Like, why do I care about these people? They're old and they're mean, and they should fucking die, right? So I felt like the movie kind of failed because of that. Like, who do I like in this movie? Nobody. But I just enjoy it now for that. I mean, just enjoy it because it's so ridiculous. It took 3 people to direct this movie. Why? Didn't need 3 people to direct this movie. I'm like, why? And just don't see it showing on the screen. But it's fun, There's I'm sure there's a lot of behind the scenes information about this movie and why it took 3 people to make a movie. And I believe my pal Justin Kurzweil over at the Hysteria Continues podcast had spoken to one of the filmmakers or the producers or writers and contributed to a commentary for this movie, and I need to listen to that to find out more about Slaughter High and what went right, what went wrong. I'm assuming some things went wrong while making the movie. Harry Manfredini did the score, and it's, if you hear Harry Manfredini's scores, they do sound a lot like Friday the 13th. This one has a very unique vibe going through it, I gotta say, and it could rub you the wrong way if you're not in the mood for it, but it kind of sticks with me, and I remember it and kind of smile a little bit. I like silly slasher movies, so Slaughter High fits that for me. And old British people in high school, I assume is set in the U.S., even though the movie was made clearly in England. Because no U.S. high school that I've seen ever looked like that. Just like the weird contradictions of the movie. I like those like slasher movies that were like made by Europeans, or in this case British dudes, I think. They just seem like there's like a weird synced the right way. They just feel like off, and not synced in terms of sound and picture, but like they're just something's lost in translation a little bit. And I just like a movie like Pieces, especially, something's definitely off with the translation, and I love that about it. That movie is special too, of course. So Slaughter High has some of that Pieces charm, but I would say kind of it's a little bit more in your face with certain things, like the comedy maybe, or just like the characters are a little too like big, or just like a little too annoying or something. But it doesn't matter. I still dig it. So for what it is, it was that movie that was supposed to be entitled April Fool's Day, but April Fool's Day already had beaten them to it in terms of getting the title. So they released it as Slaughter High, and like a Cutting Class. I remember something to do with this movie. They released that as Slaughter High 2 overseas, even though it had nothing to do with this movie. That movie had an interesting comedy balance to it, comedy slasher balance. I really like the tone of Cutting Class. I think that one really does it right in its weird way. It definitely has a weird tone, but I like that weird tone about it. This one, the tone is kind of a little too off for me. But again, like I've been flip-flopping so much with this one, I still will go back and watch it and enjoy it. So I would definitely buy a Blu-ray for it. So I think this one also might qualify for a Vestron release. I'm not entirely sure if that's correct with the rights things. So many of these movies, the rights can be problematic, but I think it was a Vestron VHS, and it was released unrated on a Vestron VHS as well as R-rated. So getting it out on Vestron through Lionsgate on Blu-ray would be amazing. I'd watch it. So hopefully this is one of the movies that they're thinking about doing, or are actually working on doing. I'd buy it. I know a lot of slasher fans would buy it, so I'm sure it would do pretty well for them. Carolyn Monroe fans would buy it. And just like those of us who are interested in 80s horror, it's definitely miles better than that other 80s slasher movie I spoke about today, Return to Horror High, which had the comedy was a bit off in that movie. So the movies kind of suffer from that. I think, the problem with these slasher movies at this time period were they weren't taking them as seriously, obviously. But you have slasher movies like Slaughter High, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, and Return to Horror High. They weren't, slasher movies were on the outs. And so they needed to do other things with them. So they made them to comedies or silly. They just didn't take them seriously and just made them very silly and stupid. But there were, of course, exceptions to that rule, of course. But for the most part, I feel like that's where they were treated. And so I have some mixed feelings about them. I just wish they were as good as they were in the early 80s. But I'll take them for what they are. And I'll take a lot of these movies for what they are. So let's go through it. Let's look at the order of how I like these movies today. Let's see. I would put it... there were 16 movies we talked about. Number 16, I would do Return to Horror High. Sorry. Number 15, Gothic. Ken Russell. You could do better than that. 14, Killer Workout. 13, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, 12, Forever Lulu, 11, Slaughter High, 10, My Demon Lover, 9, Police Academy 4, 8, Extreme Prejudice, 7, 3 for the Road, 6, Project X, 5, Walk Like a Man, 4, Prick Up Your Ears, 3, Campus Man, and 2, Secret of My Success, and number 1, Making Mr. Right. So I love Making Mr. Right. Really enjoy Secret of My Success. I like a lot of these movies. I mean, even the worst one, Return to Horror High, has its charm. So I'm not I don't hate the movies. The ones that rank on the bottom. I really had some problems with them. That's all. As you do with movies that you don't like sometimes. Hey, but some great movies here. Not like I said, not the year, not the month, I should say, the month that I would say the strongest month of the year. April, generally, I don't know. Is it the strong? It's not one of the stronger months of release year. I think studios start putting out their summer movies in June or late May, but May, like looking at the May list, there's definitely a lot of releases in May. So we're talking about a lot of movies. But May's a little different back then. There weren't like a lot of like big movies. There was definitely one big May movie that was kind of like poised to be a hit. But not like a lot of smaller movies came out in May and for 87. So interesting. So we're talking about those movies, but there were definitely a couple of cult movies there, like big cult movies that people like. So maybe I'll get somebody on to talk about those movies. But thank you for joining me today. And we'll be back soon. I have a podcast lined up. So fairly shortly, hopefully. It's hard to get these things together more often. I wish I could. This time is scarce, so try my best. But I'll try even harder, okay? Thank you for listening, as always, guys. It means a lot to me. The handful of people out there who actually listen and on a regular basis, I love you all. Thank you so much, and I do notice it, and I do appreciate the love. It does come across. Thank you so much. And don't be afraid to reach out to me on the Retro Movie Love Facebook page or Cinema de Meep Facebook page or my own personal Facebook page, or even on Twitter. I don't do Twitter as much, but I tried to. Instagram, Cinema de Meep has an Instagram thing now. It has Instagram thingy. You could follow me on there. I post a lot of like stuff, Blu-rays that I get in, because I like Blu-rays. So you'll see some. So look up Cinema de Meep on Instagram. You'll find some Blu-ray love. Again, follow us again on whatever social media outlet. Email me, meep@cinemademeep.com, or reach out, touch us. But please, if you can, reach out on iTunes with the ratings. If you could rate us on iTunes or review us, that would help, because if you're not rated a lot on there, if you don't get much in terms of ratings or reviews, you kind of get buried. So the podcast gets buried pretty quickly because there are so many podcasts out there now. So we'll reach more people if you do that. If you share our posts, share our when we post stuff on social media, if you share it, more people will reach the podcast, and that'll be great, and hopefully inspire me to do more. But I love all of you. Thank you so much, as always, and I'll see you on the next one. And talk to you then. Ciao for now.
Looking up, times are moving fast. Things are hooking up as we step into the future. Looking up, ain't it all the gas? Things are hooking up. Things are looking like they're looking up. Now
is a movie I saw in 1987 at the movie theater. It was pretty good. There were monkeys in it and Ferris Bueller. Very cool.
Oh, no.
What is it?
It's the jerk. My husband.
My uncle.
Your what?
Oh, God, that makes you...
Auntie Vera?
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. What's my mother gonna say? I've disgraced my whole family.
Oh, the hell you did.